Hello, welcome to episode 7 of Three Dudes Brews. Three Dudes Brews is our liquid journey into the various perspectives of taste, our own appreciation for the various styles of craft beer, and our celebration for the good people that bring it to us, that pour these wonderful beers for us. Joining me, my name is Buddy Thayer. I am one of your co-hosts. As you can tell by my rotund figure, I am quite the enthusiast of craft beer. Joining me down the river beer on this beautiful canoe, this beautiful ride, the Greekiest man I know down the other end of the table, leading us at point, Costas Sangaruli.
How's everybody doing? And to my right, the doctor, my left, Dr. Ed Pattinaud here.
His other right. That's okay. How you doing,
It's
everybody?
been that kind of morning already, yeah.
Yeah, so as Constance said, my name is Ed Pattinaud. We're here today with Morgan at Buttonwoods Brewing. Let me tell you, this is a great spot you got here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so glad to have you. So, everybody at home knows, if you've been following us, we've got our beers in front of us this morning. We're going to end up getting to see who is today's top cock. Currently, this guy right here, this little Greek guy over here, I'm being nice. He's got a dynasty going.
Yes.
So
The champ is in the house.
we're going to take him down today, folks.
He's going down.
He's going down.
He's going to win this one.
So definitely. So, we'll get to the beers here in a minute. We'll start doing all of that like we usually do. So, Morgan, I got to ask you, you guys used to be in Cranston.
Yes.
Why Providence?
That's a kind of serendipitous story. A lot of different intricate things happened that kind of led us to where we are. We started in Cranston, named after a neighborhood in Warwick where my parents live. We're also co-owners in operation. So it's just kind of been interesting. We travel further north. It started that back in 2022. We bought a brand new brew house. We were originally operating as a 3.5 barrel brew house. And for those of you who have homebrewed, imagine doing that about 50 times harder. And that's what we were doing. It was very, very much hands-on, hand stirred every single mash. Yeah, my back still is in recovery. But so we, brewed almost 1,000 batches off that system, and we were ready to upgrade to a 10 barrel system. We bought that in 2022. We went to the city of Cranston and says, hey, we want to add some more floor drains. And they said, no. So they wanted us to add an intricate wastewater system, which kind of made it 10 times more cost prohibitive than it should have been. After a lot of back and forth, they just kind of dug their feet and said no. And then we kind of got really an interesting opportunity fell in our lap. This space that we're in right now here in Providence was opening up. The former tenants were moving out. And a buddy of mine happened to be working in the building and said, hey, there's this opportunity. He was supposed to do the work in Cranston and said, you should talk to the landlords and see what you can make happen. And about 2 to 3 months of negotiations, we ended up here and spent 6 months sprinting to get this place open. Yeah, that's a quick turn. Oh, it was.
Yeah, for sure.
Morgan, I told you before off camera before the show that this was like one of my bucket lists of the bucket list of places I wanted the show to go to. I had the opportunity when I was first turned on to this great beer. This is one of the first breweries I was taken to. It was your original brewery in Cranston. But every brewery every space that you're in, you notice it. You notice it here. Like Costas was mentioned, the old grandma tables, the old feel. Is this like a representation of your personality, or is this like what's more trendy? Like in the community today?
I think it's just a representation of all the people that have been and involved in what we do. It's kind of a chaotic amalgamation of all the personalities that have passed through the store and helped and worked with us on different things. So you think it's great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's beautiful too.
Wood and all the different tables that remind me of being at grandma's house.
Right.
All of these different coffee tables.
The old 1980s video game right here.
Yeah,
I grew up on Arkanoid. That's awesome, dude.
I mean, that's kind of how it works. Is we just kept inheriting more and more odds and ends things, and there's a blue chair off camera. We got that from the Warwick Library.
Nice.
That's from an old customer of ours. He I traded him 3 cases of beer for it.
Good deal.
Yeah. He was like, "You want it?" I was, "You sure? What do you want for it?" He's like, "Beer." How much? I don't know.
Listen,
So I skipped 3 cases, and he was like, "Cool."
I think the world would be a much better place if we used beer as a currency.
Yeah.
I'd definitely be a lot happier. But yeah, I'm digging the chairs. Like I said, you'll see some pictures, of these, but some of these older, like the vinyl ones over there, I'm looking at, there's a red chair, there's like a little gray 2-seater. I'm digging them though, because it's like you're hanging out in somebody's garage,
Right.
Yeah.
talking, having beers, drinking, just hanging out.
Nothing matches. And
Nah,
that's the best part.
It's
honestly.
it's like
I said, it's very eclectic.
Yeah,
Very,
Some of them look out of the 1970s or 80s. Some of them look like,
that's it. It's like my first
pretty
apartment.
sure my
Yeah.
grandparents had some of these. And that's awesome.
They probably did, because we did pick them up off the side of the road, a lot of these things. So they might be your grandparents.
All right, so
I don't know where they live.
Buddy's already got a beer in here.
Yeah, speaking of beer, you guys said beer.
Why,
I'm like,
why
let's
am
drink
I
beer.
not surprised? Buddy's already got the first beer in
It's
here.
beautiful, dude.
So
I haven't sipped it yet.
you guys, you got to check these things out. I mean, first off, the glassware.
Mm.
Let me tell you, fantastic. But look at the color on this.
Oh,
Look at this.
Yeah, and this is not going to be easy.
that is
No,
mighty delicious.
Every single one of these is
I recognize
colors.
almost immediately.
So
Color.
the first thing Morgan said was that he was not making this easy on us, folks. And let me tell you,
Oh God, that's good.
that's the evil streak in him. I can tell he's got this little mischievous look in his eye.
Mischievous. I wouldn't say evil. Like, it's more of like I'm here playing the game with you, but also I want to make it as entertaining for me to watch.
So it's like Squid Games for him.
Oh, cue the Squid Game music.
He's the old guy.
The old guy.
Oh, this is good.
So how exactly did you get started in brewing?
So my story goes back to my college days. When I graduated, basically my senior year of college, I was one of those. I graduated towards the end of the economic downturn from the housing crisis. No jobs, no opportunities. 22-year-old kid with a marketing degree, basically the most generic degree you can get. Nothing against business majors. It's just, it doesn't really point you in a direction.
Yeah.
So I was kind of hopeless, lost working in the restaurant industry. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to save money. I'm going to make some beer at home. Fun fact about making beer at home, you do not save money. Not if you catch the home brewing bug. So, yeah. So I started brewing in my apartment in Richmond, Virginia. And it just caught on before I knew it. Before my first batch was done, I brewed another batch. And so like just kind of ran with it, kept going. And by the time my third batch was brewed, I bottled my first batch and drank it, and I was
How did it turn out?
I think it was great. I would really love a time machine to try it.
No, I don't.
But yeah, it was super. I remember it was a honey pilsner. Ended up at like 8%, and it.
And what year abouts did you draft? Did you do your first beer? That
would have been 2011.
Okay, so all right. When I first started drinking beers, which was many years ago, the thought of like fruit in beer was like a no-no.
Yeah,
Something like that we passed over.
it was reserved for wheat beer.
Right.
Right.
Or for like your lesser beer drinkers. What are your thoughts on adding fruit to beer? Is it something that's acceptable nowadays?
I mean, it's very much acceptable. It's kind of it's one of those. It's might be hitting the jumping the shark phase, but I think appropriately placed beer and appropriately placed fruit in a beer is great. Like I think like it's a good tool to have in
Like
your
sours?
sours. Like you can
Wheat
put.
beer.
We've done IPAs with them that turned out great. It's kind of like what I kind of refer to as like I said, it's a tool in your belt, something to utilize and add where appropriate. We actually just got a hop oil called Maui Nelson, which is just like the oils from Nelson hops
Yeah.
that are infused with some kind of like pineapple flavoring additive.
Sounds fancy.
I'm not even sure what they use to make it taste like pineapple, but it's got this like we just added it to a beer that we're packaging next week, and it's got this pineapple skin note that you don't normally get from Nelson. So like stuff like that. It's like it's additive. It's not supposed to be, when you order a pineapple beer, it shouldn't be, okay, I could have just ordered a pineapple juice and added vodka.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, no, there's definitely a time and place for it all. I mean, I had a a blueberry last night that was fantastic, and it actually, they threw whole blueberries in there. Okay,
In the glass?
I get it. Yeah, in the glass.
What kind of
It's very aesthetic.
kind of beer was
It was a wheat beer. It was a
What
wheat
year
beer.
was it?
What year was? Yeah.
Sorry, I always.
Huh?
Well, you had it. So the thing I've always noticed with places that put blueberries in them, they generally are brew pubs that opened up in the 90s.
Okay. I got you now.
Nothing against it. I
got
appreciate
you
the trend, but it's
Well, and
the
that's
only
just
people that still do it are very much breweries that existed in the 90s.
It's great for the, I guess, visual. To me, they kind of get in the way, and I'm like,
So you accidentally swallow one and choke it.
Yeah.
right. You don't need it. I mean, the beer was great without it, so it's like, you guys, save yourself some money on the blueberries.
It's a good
You'll be okay. Well, that's just it.
Visually, it's appealing.
Yeah.
It's a little blueberries, dancing on the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't turn me off from ordering it again. I'll tell you that. But it's like, save yourself a couple bucks.
Yeah. So
Spend
what's your favorite styles of beer to brew?
Favorite style.
And if you had a choice to drink, what would you be drinking right now?
So my favorite beer, the one that I continuously religiously go back to whenever we have it and only drink that when it's on, is our Bohemian Pilsner. That is a single decocted Czech style Pilsner. So it's just, there's something about the combination of like the yeast, the decoction and like the caramelization of the malt from decoction, the sour hops. It's just this like, it's one of my favorite beers. And most of the time when I get a beer from a brewery that has a Czech Pilsner, I know I'm going to like it. There's just some magic in all of those combinations.
See, I always think of it as like kind of like a litmus test for the brewery. If you got a Czech Pilsner on the menu, I go up there and I get it. If you nailed it, I know we're good.
Yeah.
If you didn't, I'm not holding out a lot of hope.
Yeah. I would also say like a Vienna or like some of the
lager.
So it's funny. I go the opposite direction. When I go to a brewery, the first thing I try is their IPA, especially because with the proliferation of IPAs and how much people kind of gravitate towards them, it's going to be the thing you brew the most. It's the one you have the most reps on. You're going to be. It should be your best beer because of the popularity of the style. And so, and you go up and try where they're more frequently brewed IPAs, and it's not up to snuff. You kind of get a litmus test of like, all right, well, they could do other things well, but in this market, there's not a lot of people who don't focus and do really good IPAs anymore.
So, the three of us, we all have different favorite styles. We all gravitate towards certain ones. Excuse me, I'm not a huge IPA fan. Like I'll drink an IPA, but if I'm knocking you over the head with the amount of hops we threw in this thing, and that's all I taste is a pine tree, I don't like it.
Yeah,
that's
for
me.
sure.
That's me. Now,
but there's like there's so many variations that you can do with an IPA. It's not just about like that piney flavor. You can get like a citrus flavor. You can get like a lot of people gravitate towards what is it that stuff with them
Mosaic,
the hop mosaic or Citra. But there's so many other hops that are used.
That's just it.
It could be used,
It could be used, but they're not.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. I'm not against hops. I mean, I love beer. Not against hops. But it's when you're getting the same thing over and over, and
You get a Citra. You get a Citra.
yeah, everybody gets a Citra.
Sauces does not like Citra.
It was, but there was a period of time where it was like everybody was trying to out hop the other.
Yeah.
So do you think IPAs are going to start swinging the other way, or do you think they're here to stay forever?
I think IPAs have always been here. I think the one thing we have to keep in mind is the grandfather of all New England IPAs turned 21 last year or 2 years ago. So the New England IPA has been around for long enough to drink. IPA trend,
The Alchemist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Heady Toppers is 21 or 22 years old.
We were just talking about that last night.
And that's kind of like, I've gotten a little pushback when I've said this, but I firmly believe that because of the success of Alchemist, it kind of turned brands and breweries on, such as like Treehouse and Trillium, to pursue a similar vein of IPA style. There was so much lore around Heady Topper. So like I think it built that up. So I don't think it's going away. I think what it has happened is that tastes are shifting. There's like a life cycle of the craft beer drinker where you kind of peak at the IPA and then you start drifting. For me it was Belgians into stouts, into IPAs, and then into lagers and farmhouses, and kind of go from there. So it kind of all depends where you're at in the cycle. So it rotates. I come back every so often. I like go into a lager phase, then I go to an IPA phase, then I go to stout phase. So I go through that circle like once a year.
I think everybody does. I mean, everybody gets that zone, where this is what I'm drinking right now, and I'm finding different ones that I like. So, going back to the Alchemist and Heady Topper, though, do you think it's overrated?
No. I think it had its time, and I still think it's a great beer. I think it's actually appropriately rated now.
Okay.
And when it first came out, it was appropriately rated, and then somewhere in the middle, it got kind of this god status.
Yeah.
That was totally unnecessary.
Yep.
But now it's back to where, because when I first had it, it was like, holy crap, this is a revolution.
Right.
Beers.
Exactly.
Incredible.
It became like the holy grail. Of
It was the holy
craft
grail.
beer drinkers, right?
What you don't understand about the Alchemist is, dude, like I had a friend like 10, 15 years ago, probably 15, probably more. And he was a big craft brew guy. He used to brew his own stuff. He used to drive up to Vermont. There was special times where the Alchemist would only be in certain spots, and you had to predict where they were going to be and find the Alchemist like the Holy Grail.
Yep.
So that's how special Heady Topper was at one time. The Alchemist was.
And that's
then,
what built it up, though.
Like years later, I took a road trip with this guy down the end, and we went up to the Alchemist in Vermont, the new brewery that they built. It was beautiful. It was like walking into the Mecca, dude. Like, oh my God, I'm finally here.
You guys can't tell, Buddy likes Alchemist.
I like Alchemist.
Go right there.
I liked Heady Topper, but I fell in love with their crusher, which was an 8%. It had little chips in it, like little.
The
it's so delicious, so amazing. But yeah, what up, dude? They used to be like going to find the Holy Grail. It was a special.
Yeah.
That's why maybe this was special.
Well, you could also go to the brewery back then too, and you had to time it just right on a Friday afternoon.
Right.
The first time I went to, this is the original second spot, I should say. They had 7 cases left when we got there at 3 p.m. on Friday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or like standing in
That's
line.
crazy.
Yeah.
Standing in line for beer. I've had to sit in line for 2 hours in the cold for beer. You just don't do that anymore.
No.
But going to like Trillium, their original spot.
I think it's because there's so many options now. You don't have to.
Right, exactly.
You don't have to. You don't have to stand online and sit there for 2 hours in the freezing cold to get a good craft beer anymore.
But exactly.
I mean,
it's so worth it.
What do you
Back then.
Are there any trends that you see coming in the future in the craft business? That are good and
there's so many options now. You don't have to.
Right, exactly.
You don't have to. You don't have to stand online and sit there for 2 hours in the freezing cold to get a good craft beer anymore.
But exactly.
I mean,
it's so worth it.
what do you
Back then.
think? Are there any trends that you see coming in the future in the craft business that are good, and are there any that you foresee that might be disturbing? People have talked about the downturn, and like there's obviously several breweries that have closed recently, but then several breweries that open up.
You open up.
So is there anything that you see that you're like, okay, this is awesome, this is great that this is happening, and then there's some other ones that are like, this has kind of got me a little worried.
I think it's all the negative stuff is also, as long as it's properly like taken and used correctly, can also be a positive. Like there's gonna be a consolidation. You know, I remember Sam Calgione like 10, 15 years ago banging the hammer. There's gonna be a bloodbath. We're all gonna like shudder and like you got to watch out. And like, you know, I'm not beating that same drum, but I am going to say that we're going to see something similar. We're going to see not a big drop. Like, so we had like 60 less breweries open than closed last year. That isn't as dramatic as you think when you consider there's just shy of 10,000 breweries in the US.
Right.
Rhode Island has, I think we've had only a smattering of closings. And the interesting part is that those closings have turned into a reopening.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not so much the concern of there's not enough room in the market. There's plenty of room in the market. We're doing this thing where we're fighting over an 18%, like I think it's even less than that, 15% share of the pie when, you know, there's another 85% left.
Right.
You know, we have that room to grow and we have that capacity. And I think there's a shift towards local for that same reason. Is like, you can grow in your own home market, but as soon as you get out of the market, it's competitive because no one knows who you are.
Yeah.
So if you're able to focus in and do the right things in your own market, that's where you should be putting your energy. And I think that also means that you have to hone in on things that people want instead of just being like, 100% IPA. You have to have more offerings for more people to make more people happy.
So more of a
Variety. Yeah.
Variety.
Right. Sure. Well, speaking of variety, I noticed on that menu you got 15 beers, right? Some of them are like all-time favorite, like that Trick or Treat is amazing. But of those beers, how many are of those 15? How many are regulars, and how many rotate in and out, and how many others do you have that rotate in and out of that?
Of that menu, there are at this moment 3 regulars, 3 year-rounds. There's Kinetic, Pilsner, and Object Permanence. Everything else rotates. We have somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 lagers that we rotate through, and kind of depends on the year. Like some of them could see the entire calendar if people are as excited about them as we've seen. And sometimes maybe we're only going to get 8 or 10 out of them this year if it's not as fast moving. So it really depends on what I feel like brewing and what people are drinking.
Yeah.
Gotta merge those two because I still want to drink beer on that.
Well, of course. You know, and we were talking about the marketplace a minute ago, and it's one of those things where, you know, you got to try to lure people in. You know, you got to bring them in. You got to stay relevant in the marketplace.
social media is
Social media,
big factor in that.
Now, you know, being Rhode Island, and Rhode Islanders the way they are, you know, more than 15 minutes is a commute. You know, so exactly. So how do you bring in like the folks from South County, you know, and further, you know, how do you
Massachusetts?
Oh, Massachusetts. How do you bring them in?
How do you draw them in?
But even just like I said, just Rhode Islanders, because like I said, nobody wants to drive. You know, so many people don't know about the other ones or haven't had the other ones because they don't want to drive. So it's like, what do you do to bring them in?
Nothing. I know that's not the answer you expected, but honestly, like, you know, where I would love for the people outside of Providence to come, but this is my backyard. The people who are going to come here and the people that are going to help me pay my rent are the people that live around the corner, the people that hang out here all the time. You know, the people that we forge relationships with that come in we have a plethora of regulars that are, you know when they're coming, you know what day they're coming. And, you know, it's great. It's cheers. You know, you have that camaraderie and you have those shared experiences with these people. So I want people from Framingham, Massachusetts to show up, but I want my regular who shows up at 4 p.m. every Thursday to show up at 4 p.m. every Thursday.
Yeah.
Because they're, you know, I know that business is there and I know that those people are coming in and excited to be here and share like their life with us and be part of the community. So those people are what keep us going.
Nice. So, Buddy mentioned you got, 15 beers on tap. Oh my God. How many of those are in cans right now?
Of the 15, I think there's only like 2 or 3 that we are out of cans on.
And wow, those are also, you can find those in liquor stores, right?
Not all of them. So we do keep a decent portion of those I think it's about 40% of the draft. The board is in-house only stuff. And part of that's because the market's not there for people.
It's what they're buying.
Yeah, I don't.
You know?
I could ship 10 cases to my distributor of certain brands, but those 10 cases, because of the brand, aren't going to sell in distro. They're going to sell really well in this tap room because people enjoy it. They know it. They expect it. It's part of who we are. But once you get outside of a radius of here, people are like, I don't know what that is, and I'm not going to spend 14, 15, 16, 18, $22 on a 4-pack.
It's a gamble when you go to the store and you don't know
Exactly.
what's in the can, what it's going to taste like. So if I come here and I try it and then I say, okay, this is great and this is coming home.
Now,
Like hip hop is dead. I've seen that in cans, and I bought that right away because I know exactly.
How many times have you gone to the store?
Beautiful double IPA.
You might look at the can art and you might look at the description. And
that sells my wife every time.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Every single time.
the can looks awesome. The description sounds amazing. And then you get home and you're like, I want to speak to a manager because this doesn't add up to what the label says is not what's in the can. And you're like, wait a second, it's just I just blew $20 on this. And you're like,
well, that's just it. I mean, all our money is, we've got our earmarked budget for our craft beers, and we know what we're looking to spend, and it's a gamble. All of a sudden now I'm going to drop down almost $20 on a 4-pack, and I've never had it. I've never been there. So again, though, that's a great reason why you need to come down to these places, because you can get a taste.
Try it before you
buy it, because and I've noticed too that a lot of the distribution, it's the IPAs. Because that's the market.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you want to try something other than the IPA from you guys or anybody else, get to the tap rooms. Come to these places, get out of your comfort zone, take a road trip on the weekend, go try something new. But like you said, though, it's that loyalty that's really going to drive and keep you alive. Right.
And we do have other things in distro, like the two brands we distro the most are Object Permanence and Pilsner. And the thing about the Pilsner brand is that you can walk in any craft beer bar and there's 12, 20, 18 taps. You're going to find, no matter what, tops 2 Pilsners. You find 5 to 18 IPAs. Then it's so that there's room in that side of the market, but that Pilsner category is hyper limited to so that's why it's like easier to find something like Dark Pilsner or lagers here, because a lot of bar managers aren't ready to take the risk on something like a lager to sit on tap and hope that people recognize and drink it. Cost analysis.
So you got the big box, out there. So it's like the folks that are drinking just lagers, usually have, their favorites, and they're going to that. And it's, please God, not be a Bud Light. Bud Light's got its time and place. Okay. I don't want to hear the hate mail coming, but
Bud Heavy only, please.
You guys have a kitchen here, right?
We do.
You guys have food on premise?
Yeah. So the camera can't see it, but right now we have the wood fire oven getting warmed up. Ray, one of our so the kitchen is a separate business from us, and they're open most hours that we're open. So we have a wood fire pizza oven. We have an entire galley kitchen in the back. Steph, the owner of Screaming Unicorn, is wonderful. Her resume's stellar. Like, if you look at it, you're like, shit, how the hell did you find her? And I'm like, I have no idea.
Got lucky.
Favorite pizza.
So I've looked at the menu for Screaming Unicorn, and let me tell you, we're definitely coming down one night and getting some food, getting some beers, and it's been fantastic. So I mean, it's great that you guys have it, because not everybody does. There's a lot of places that don't have a food option.
Right.
So, folks, it's like, my wife, for example, doesn't drink. So if she's coming with me, I need a reason to bring her, because she's like, I want to go. I don't drink. Well, there's food.
What's in it for me?
There's something to eat. So we can come and we can sit down. She can have a Coke or whatever, and get some food, and I can have my beers.
And that's the thing is, like, there are times where we'll go to a brewery and you're drinking and you're hungry, and now you're like, well, there's no food, there's no food truck, so it's like, okay,
we had that problem.
Oh man,
we got to go.
That's always been the hardest. That was the hardest part before we had Screaming Unicorn working with us. Is I love most of the food trucks we work with. It's just that